Hello, this is the Kilrush RSS tutorial. We're going to be looking at how to integrate an RSS feed into a Kilrush site. So there are a number of ways of using RSS in Kilrush, and we're going to use the most difficult. The most difficult way would still work if the feed wasn't RSS, so if it was some custom form of XML. The most difficult way would work if you had parallel web services, so you had one web service that gave you perhaps part of the information, you then had to call another web service in order to complete the transaction or to get the information. The method that we're going to use today actually allows you to do that. It's quite manual, but it's hugely flexible. So the first thing we need to do is we'll add a new page here, and we'll call that new page RSS menu. And let's say there's a page underneath that, which we'll call RSS details. So we're going to build a very, very simple two-page machine. The menu will list out, let's say, 10 of the newest RSS news items. Clicking on them will then take you to the RSS details page where you can read more information from the same feed. If we go into the RSS menu page, again, just a blank page, and now I want to add a data source. A data source is a component that you can put onto a page which is invisible, that talks to external web services like RSS feeds, pulls information back in from them, formats them as requested, and then passes them back to the page. So we're actually going to use the XML web feed data source, as this is the most flexible, and we'll also see how we can use that in a flexible way. So having clicked on it, you can now see the properties. There's a URL, there's a little bit of XSLT, which we'll go through in a second, and there's a name. There are three things we're going to change. So I've got, here we go, I've got my URL ready. That's just a URL at which I know there's an RSS feed, and also here I've got a little bit of XSLT. Because it's an XML data source, we use XSLT in it. So this is very, very simple. All this does is it takes the elements that you're going to find in a RSS feed and just displays them as attributes in an XML feed. That's all. It's a very, very small piece of code. You'll find this piece of script in the documents for this tutorial. So I click here, I can cut and paste that in. So you can see now, if this feed was of some very strange proprietary form, I can just use this XSLT to convert it into whatever I want. I'm going to give it a friendly name so we know which one it is, and I think it's the Cricket, which I can't spell, RSS. So yeah. Okay, so we built a page and it's got a data source on it. So now we're going to use another type of applet, a new type, to consume that. This is called the repeater. Now, all a repeater does is it binds to a data source, and the controls within the repeater are populated once for each returned line of data from the data source. So I'm going to bind this to the Cricket RSS we just made. Right, if you have a look at this currently, this is the data source. It's currently got a page size of 5. If we change that to 10, that data source will now return 10 rows from this URL transformed via that XSLT, and it'll dump them into that repeater. So we should put something in there now that can display some of these and use them meaningfully. Most useful for us, as this is our menu page, is going to be a link. So we pick up a link item and drop it onto the repeater. Link item then asks us, right, so I'm going to bind myself to this data source, I assume. Yes, that's right. And the property would be, link would be good. That would be a good property for the link. And what text do you want to display? The title. If we look now at the link properties itself, I can now say that this links to the RSS details page, because that's where I would like to see the details. And what do I want it to pass to that page? Well, from the Cricket RSS feed, which is the feed on this page, I would like it to pass the ID property, because that's what uniquely identifies an individual line within an RSS feed. In the search type, filter. So if I click the link which is for row number 5 in the feed, I will get the 5th story. I won't get all the stories starting at 5th, which is my other option. Just the 5th story, please. Thank you very much indeed. Now if I save that with Control S again, let's go back and have a quick look at the page that we would like to display all this. Now what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to put another data source on this page. Basically exactly the same as the one that I created on the other page, pointing in the same place. I wouldn't normally do it this way. I would normally create this data source at account level using a screen that looks like this, but that affects or data sources that are available on all sites for a particular account. But just to show that it's possible to pass information not only between pages but between different data sources, we're going to do this the most difficult way we possibly could. That's the URL. There we are. And let's give this a friendly name. We can give it a different name. RSS2. There we go. And here we would like to stick on another repeater and ask it to consume the data source on this page. Only difference now, of course, is I don't want a link, I want a text box, because I want to display what comes back in that RSS feed. The text I'd like is actually description, is what the text in an RSS is called. Because I want this data source to only display one news story at a time, I'm going to change its mode to single. Control S, it saved it. And back to the main site. Back into the home page. I now need to add a link to my new and exciting RSS pages. So they should link to, within training, I've got RSS menu as a page. And the text should be RSS feed or something like that. There we are, that's my RSS feed page. Right, Control S, saves that. Let's sign up. If on the RSS page I add a link and make this link back to the RSS menu page, and Control S saves it. Back to the sitemap. Publish the changes. Now view the published page. I go to the RSS page, I can pick one, and I can go back, and I can pick another one, and I can go back.